Say Lagos. The world. If you're watching right now through YouTube, go on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. You find Tega's really amazing glowing hair.
She came to work today to dazzle us.
Ayo,
It's a holiday. Have mercy on
what's
us.
this one called?
This one is crochet braids, and
Oh.
I'm thinking seriously we're going to do it in
So
color
shiny.
wine.
Shiny.
You people know that the news is plenty today. Please start.
Let's join the conversation, Lagos. Send us messages through WhatsApp 0809 4440981. You can also send it through Twitter with the hashtag.
Hashtag locker room 981. We're live, we're waiting, and we cannot wait to read your tweets and comments.
The Houston Rockets got hot from 3 in Game 2 versus the Golden State Warriors, but that didn't matter. The Warriors forced 17 turnovers and controlled the ball in a 115-109 win to take a 2-0 series lead in the Western Conference semifinals. Klay Thompson scored 21 and Stephen Curry scored 20 to help the Warriors overcome a night that saw the Rockets outperform them from distance. James Harden led the way for Houston with 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists, while Chris Paul tallied 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. That still wasn't enough.
Yes, because the bench is not joining. but I mean, it was a night where the Rockets were supposed to revenge for poor officiating, or questionable officiating in Game 1, and try to show that we are here for this series. Unfortunately, I mean, they came in with 17 threes. That's a lot. But they were not making enough points in the paint. Their bench did not support enough, which is different from what the Golden State Warriors did in this game. And so in as much as sometimes James Harden and Chris Paul performs, I think it's it is generally a team effort to try and get out the Golden State Warriors. And now they've dug themselves in a hole that is going to make it even hard for them. I mean, this was supposed to be a good contest.
Yes.
But it is looking like an easy one. The Golden State Warriors are just running away with it. I think during the game there was a horrible injury. Steph Curry's finger, he got dislocated. Like one side went to one side and the other side it was like that. It was off. And then he had to go in. They reset the finger and he came back and continued playing. Yes, because that's how life is. Same thing with James Harden. They cut his eye, which is why I'm surprised he was still seeing to play and score 29 points. Because they scratched his eye a little bit. He had to go in, clean off the blood and do stuff. And then he came out and continued.
Some people are able to come back and continue, but unfortunately, some are not. And that's our next story.
But the ones that came back, unfortunately, one of them didn't win, one of them won. Let's see how game 3 will be, because I'm getting tired of this series. I expected a fight, and it's a beat down, I'm saying, and I'm not happy.
Move this way. They say that our mic is not letting them see your hair.
They should travel.
All
right.
We can check out flicking it. Wow.
All right. So moving on to another sport. AS Roma's Nigerian forced, to retire age 21. So AS Roma's Nigerian defender Nura Abdullahi has been forced to retire from football on medical advice at the age of just 21. He has a contract with the Italian side until June 2021 and was initially placed on a period of rest by his club after a heart test in March 2018. Now the club will honor his contract and he will now take up a non-playing role with them.
Yes. So when his contract expires, then I think they're thinking about giving him a scouting role or ambassadorial position. But what it means is this guy can play. It reminds me of one guy called Kanu Wankwo. When he also went to Italy, it was in Italy they discovered that he had the heart problem when he was in Inter Milan. But he came back and he finished a very glowing career. So I don't know what the details of Nora's heart condition haven't been released, but it's always advisable once the doctor says stop. Please stop. So we don't know the details. We don't know if there's a surgery that can be performed, if there's anything that can be done to get him playing again. But what it is that that condition is severe enough. I mean, I remember a footballer that died over the weekend in South Africa, and he'd been warned severally that look, your heart can't take this rigorous career, and he continued playing. and then he slumped on the pitch and died.
So
A very sad one, because you really want to play and you think that you can do
Yeah.
it, and then your heart is telling you, I can't carry this. So it's advisable. I don't know, again, I don't know the details, but it's advisable, and I like the fact that the club, even on their own by themselves, just placed him on leave, and now they're just going to stay out the contract. So let's hear what happens. Sometimes you actually come back from this, like Kano
Yeah.
did. At other times, you just safe.
I was going to say safe until given the all clear by a medical professional. But I'm really, really proud of the club. That's very big of them to have done that.
Yeah.
all right, so let's talk boxing. Andy Ruiz Jr. has now reportedly agreed terms to jump in and fight Anthony Joshua on June 1st at Madison Square Garden in New York. The Mexican-American heavyweights will replace Jarrell Miller, who was ruled out of the bout after failing 3 drug tests consecutively. And now Eddie Hearn said it's not done yet. Terms have been agreed. I mean, there's things that they have to iron out within the contract, but he's the front runner. I, like Andy Ruiz, wanted someone who's not taking just a payday, who believes he can win, who will do everything to win. That sounds respectful.
Yeah. Sometimes you get, again, I've heard about this Ruiz guy, and how he fights against guys that are taller than him, no fear. He rushes into it, and he doesn't read people's resume before he gets into the ring with them. Like, when we get there, if you beat me, fine. If you don't beat me, fine. But I'm going to, and that's a dangerous and tricky opponent.
Yes,
if
to
you
have.
ask me, for Eddie Hearn to have chosen. And a lot of heavyweight, I understand what he means. A lot of heavyweight people come into the ring and say, we can't beat Anthony Joshua based on. They look at his technique. They've read his resume. They're like, let's just go in there and make our money. But Ruiz is not one of those guys. Ruiz is going to give it his all. He's a scrapper, not the most technically sound guy, but he's a scrapper. He will give his all. He will fight his heart out. And those kind of guys that have nothing to lose are usually risky. So that's the guy that Anthony Joshua is going to place his belt to fight against. Well, let's see how it turns out on June 1st. I think it's a little late in the game, because there's a lot of things he may have to catch up on to fight AJ.
Yeah.
But it's also same with AJ, because now Ruiz is an unknown quantity, and to tackle that in less than a month's time, it's a lot.
quite
But let's see how
unpredictable.
it goes. Yeah.
But then Waji sent in a message here on WhatsApp. Hey, Big Waj. Great game between Golden State and the Rockets. Credit to the refs for setting the pace for good behavior regarding foul simulations from Houston. Rockets shot the lights out and still lost. What you got to say about that, those Warriors, Tega?
He keeps talking about this because of Kevin Durant, the side chick. Yeah, Waji. You'll be all right.
And very quickly, let's go on to football now. Mauricio Pochettino admits he got Tottenham tactics wrong in defeat to Ajax. Now, he admitted that he got his tactics wrong in Tottenham's 1-0 defeat to Ajax in the first leg of their Champions League semi-final. Here's what he told BT Sport. Watching now, of course, I can accept it was a mistake, the shape we used. But there were not too many options. I am not happy. You cannot guess what happens if we play in a different way. But our lack of energy, and we were a little sloppy. It was not the shape that conceded the goal. Our approach to the game was not good. I am the manager, so I have responsibility.
Yes, I totally agree. It was not. He shouldn't say it was not the shape. It was not just the shape. Everything, including the energy. I mean, from the get-go, Tottenham were playing at home. This is why they built a big stadium. This is why they got the crowd in singing, "Oh, when the Saints are marching in." And then they get on the pitch, and there was no Saints anywhere. It was just a bunch of lethargic people strolling around. And the youthfulness, and to think that, again, but the way Ajax lined up, especially the way they were narrow from sometimes the midfield to the forward, you would expect that maybe it's still like Tottenham Hotspur that knows how to play with space would have used their width, would have tried to get the ball in the 18-yard box. They did not do any such thing. So they were lethargic. Yes, the shape was wrong. And even when they went down and changes were made, they looked more likely to concede than to score. And even when they were going forward, they're a little more predictable. I mean, if Soko came in and brought in some energy and, scattered, set like the cat among the pigeons when he came in. But even that initial I wanted to say initial gragra, but even that initial hula baloo wasn't enough to disrupt what Ajax was doing. They looked the more mature side. And so, yes, it's a good result for Ajax, and it's also a safe result for Tottenham because it's just one goal. And they can go to Holland and overturn it, but it's not something that they shouldn't have given themselves this kind of work at the end of the day.
And Nathan Njoku says Tottenham were ordinary yesterday and supposed to have been beaten silly. Ajax all the way.
Hi, Nathan. Long time.
Yes, Nathan. Let's take a break. We'll be back to sharing more sports stories inside of the locker room. Stay with us.
Who is sending me? I'm in the studio sleeping. Happy holiday.
Tega,
Yes.
the game in Egypt is the African Cup of Nations.
Which one?
Which one are they playing? African, whatever, football tournament.
African Cup of Nations.
It's African Cup of Nations, right?
Mm.
In Egypt, in August.
No, in June.
In June.
Sorry, yeah, July, actually.
July.
You are not paid to sleep.
I'm trying to see how we can get sponsored. I'm trying to work out a sponsorship for us to go there.
People, can you see? I do it for the people. Look at Tega.
See the beautiful
See
Tega.
you're not covering your face, Tega.
People should leave me, Jan.
No, now.
I want to sleep.
See you. It's you that they all came here for now. Is it Valentine?
This is what we.
It's you they came for now.
Really?
See your expression on it.
Tega.
Such a drama queen.
Tega, you're the one.
You are the one they've been working for.
Oh, I'm leaning in and
You are the one. You are the one. Let's see. People, after all the work, please can you comment and tell us what you think so that it won't be as if we're lying. So thank you, Ayodele Adetiba. Are you in any way related to Kemi Adetiba? How do you know?
Is Kemi the only child of her parents?
Thank you.
Oh no, because her brother's name is Dele Adetiba actually.
Oh, it might be the
that
one.
Could be Dele Adetiba. If that's Dele Adetiba, can you please say hi?
And put your face.
Oh, she actually has a brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dele Adetiba, then Remy Adetiba, and then her.
Okay.
Dele, is that you?
I did the only Adetiba family in Nigeria.
It's a very uncommon name.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not very common.
What do I know?
I hope the person is typing. Don't leave us hanging, please.
I didn't know.
I didn't know. If it's the one, then probably.
Okay, let's read this
It
one.
rained heavily from my side, and but I was happy and not happy because I was not in bed.
Come to work.
It had been a happiness situation for me if I was sleeping.
It was raining in bits and pieces, so it was coming and raining so really. I got to VI, that's when it started raining. Just like, why is this rain chasing me?
Raining, no. What was in that Chevron side was heavy.
When I was coming, that's when it was raining. That's when it started
I have
raining.
one party I'm going for today, people.
Wow, food.
And it's a serious food party. This is not football. Well, eating is a sport, so
Yeah,
technically
so
this is
that's
a sport.
Well done. Let's go back on there.
My name is Jody. What comes to mind when I think of music? Music is my getaway from reality drug. Music is how I exhale bottled up and passionate feelings. Music is sweetness, music is magic, music is divine.
And in sports, anything can happen. Lagos, thank you for staying with us. You're listening to The Locker Room. It's a part of Smooth Breakfast with Ayo.
And Valentine.
Still Smooth 98.1. We've got Tega Supreme. Now let's talk Liverpool. Now, Jurgen Klopp admits that he did not did not expect Liverpool to cope as well as they have without Philippe Coutinho. Now he says, yes, we miss Coutinho a lot because he's a world-class player and I loved working with him. That's what Klopp said. He continues though. He said, but we had to deal without him and we really did well. When I first heard he wanted to go to Barcelona, I didn't imagine we could be that good without him, but we did, and it was all good from both sides.
Yes, all this plenty talk because Liverpool is meeting Barcelona today, and truth of the matter is Coutinho may not have settled down as expected with Barcelona. But today he's going to, if at all anything is going to happen, he's going to have to play in a way that would prove that this is why I moved. I hope that he doesn't become selfish or try to do too much and then end up having a bad game. But what it is that you get to play against a Liverpool side and all eyes will be on you. Oh, you left Liverpool for Barcelona and now you have to play them to get to the final. So he has to show up. Same thing for Luis Suarez. Well, Luis Suarez has no bones to prove to anybody. He's won several things and maybe not. But Coutinho is the one with the struggles and that's why this topic is coming up. If you ask me, today it's up in the air. I'd say I can't even say anybody has the advantage. I'd say Liverpool has the better team. I'd say Barcelona has the better quality players. But what would happen today is who better shows up on the day. Because Tottenham yesterday didn't show up. No energy, no drive, nothing, no urgency. And if that happens to Barcelona today, even if it's Camp Nou, then Liverpool is going to take full advantage and Liverpool is going to play another final, and maybe this time Liverpool will win it because they were there last year and if they get there again they'd like to win it. So for Barcelona, they're going to bring their A game. I'm so certain about it because they know the opposition they're facing. And the same thing with Liverpool. So for the neutrals, it makes it a lot more interesting. But for the coaches of both teams, it's going to be nail biting to the end. It's a really tricky tie. You absolutely cannot tell which way this game is going to go.
Charles Chidozie sent in a message on Twitter. It says, "Hello, Tega. Any news on Caster Semenya from the International Court of Arbitration? I heard there was supposed to be a conclusion yesterday."
I heard so too.
And Shay here says, "Happy holiday, guys. This Tega's hair is enough ginger for Ajax to reach the UCL finals job." Valentine, please call Young Klopp and remind him that Messi will be playing today. Tega, please, who is Anthony Joshua demolishing on the 1st of June? Also, did you hear that Okocha and Kano Asparago scouts and motivational speakers?
Okay, so yeah, the NFF chose a bunch of guys in different roles. Yes. I know you're mentioning only the two, there's also the Adela Coons, and those are imamas. Those are the people that have actually been doing that work. So yes, it's not, I don't think it's the greatest idea. I just don't think it's a bad idea. For me, it's an inconsequential position. Like,
wow.
What they can do without it and they can gain from it. So
well, on behalf of the Smooth FM team, congratulations to those recently appointed.
Yes, let's keep them in the pool.
Right, let's go on to our next story. Still in sports, Sarri urges Chelsea to finish on a high note. So Mauricio, Sarri has challenged Chelsea to secure an upbeat finish to a turbulent season that plunged the club into chaos and threatened to cost the Italian his job. #Sarri out. So Sarri's side travelled to Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League semi-final first leg on Thursday, knowing that they are 5 matches away from rescuing their troubled campaign. Sarri said, "We're fighting for the top 4 and in semi-final of the Europa League. We have done a good season. Now we need to take 2 very important targets."
Yeah, but the good news for Chelsea is that they're also facing a Frankfurt side that, well, in one aspect, maybe not a lot was expected for them, but the second aspect, they are in the top 4 in the Bundesliga. So not a bad team, if you ask me, but a team that also had its struggles. And so Chelsea can, because you look at the top 4 that everybody has been rejecting first prize. The Europa is now seems the surest way to get into the UEFA Champions League. Unfortunately for Chelsea, they also have to fight teams like Arsenal, who face Valencia on the same Thursday. So it is a tricky tie. Some of Sarri's players have come out to say, "Oh, we are really happy with the coach. I like the style he's playing." He said, "The coaches we've had before, like Conte and Mourinho, they've been pragmatic, but he allows us to move around. But if your result does not match your style, your style is no sweet." At the end of the day, if your style is not the winning style, then it will not be considered a good style. Yeah. So even if it does have the backing of some of the players, at the end of the day, it comes down to the result that they produce. And if they don't win the Europa and they don't make top 4, it go hard. That's all I can say.
All right, let's go to the next story. Aston Villa forward Anwar Ghazi's red card for an altercation with Patrick Bamford have been overturned following an appeal, but the lead striker has been charged. Bamford has been charged with successful deception of a match official. Wow, that's in the books now. after he fell to the floor, clutching his face following minimal contact between himself and El Ghazi during Sunday's game between the two sides at Elland Road.
Okay, so let me tell you the craziest thing you've ever heard in a football game.
Tell us.
So Leeds United is playing against Aston Villa, and they're playing for promotion to the Premier League.
Yes.
So during the game, a Leeds player gets injured. Aston Villa player stopped the ball match and let the guy get treatment. Switch to the other side. Aston Villa players gets injured, and the Aston Villa players are yelling at the Leeds players to stop. Now the ones in the middle of the park stop, but the guy that they gave the ball to on the wing takes the ball and continues running because referee did not blow whistle.
Yes.
So he's playing to the whistle, which is perfectly legal. And then he runs through the wings and he eventually scores a goal. Goal stands
While
because
everybody was there
yes,
clamoring, referee blow.
yeah. So goal stands because referee didn't stop the game, or didn't stop the play, and so it causes a fracas. Like we stopped when your guy was injured. Why didn't you stop when the guy was injured? So what he did was right, but it may have been questioned by the bro code or the players code.
Yes.
And so a fight ensues or an argument ensues, and so El Ghazi and some people get into an argument, and he touches him like this, and the guy goes down like he was shot.
And held his face.
Yeah. So El Ghazi gets the red card, and he was protesting on the pitch. Referee didn't want to listen to him, so he gets a red card. He goes off. Then their coach now tells them that they should allow Aston Villa to score a free goal. So their coach, the game is restarted from the center circle. Nobody tackles the ball. Nobody struggles for possession. They carry the ball all the way and score it in the back of the net. The most ridiculous thing. Some people were like, what's the meaning of that nonsense? Why would I want to do that kind of stupid fair play? Anyway, the game ends 1-0. Nobody wins, and Leeds miss a big chance.
Yes.
To push for their European promotion. And so that's where all this fight has started from. So first of all, it was the ridiculousness of giving away a fair goal. And then the second one, that the player went down like he was shot. But now that card has been rescinded, he's now going to go into the books. Because yes, that was written as a law, I think 2 seasons ago, a new law for trying to deceive the referee, for diving and all other things. So yeah, he faces
So what is called?
He faces the consequences now for
successful deception of a match official. So if you pretend to be injured in the eye when they touched you on the leg.
If you pretend to be injured, period. If you pull a Rivaldo.
You pull that back. I like.
Let's go to some comments. Cruz says, please now, Biko, leave Sarri and Chelsea matter. Them worst past the proverbial Amaka. Since PSG don't win the league, them just they play a year game. Chris, thanks a lot. Biggie from Katie says, Andy Ruiz will try, but he'll be beaten by the king, AJ. Ajax will beat Tottenham again. Ajax play pure street football. Tega can agree with me. They just do touch and pass, which weakens their opponent. I love your hair with passion, says he.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Emma from Akoka says, Tottenham, we have watched how you guys have taken down giants. We will avenge the fallen. And then Ajax replies, not today. We're inevitable. We'll do whatever it takes. Barcelona and Liverpool will clash in the Battle of Winterfell tonight, all for the UCL throne. Thank you, Emma.
Epic.
All right, so while the Night King goes to rest, we'll be back after this break, still on the locker room.
Hi, my name is Richard.
There's some messages down.
And those two. So we're moving down. Love music.
Yes, selfies don't lie, bro. In fact, I will be truly lucky when I'm one of the 5 lucky super fans to win the all-expense paid trip to Tanzania in the Trophy 5-a-side tournament. I will even meet Samuel Eto'o. Oh, really? It's very simple. Just enjoy a bottle of trophy.
So I think some of them watch and go back.
And sign up for what they're calling super fan ID. Anybody that is having accreditation is to give a chance to win great prize and express paid trip to Tanzania to support the Nigeria team at the Continental Final Trophy 5-a-side tournament. Terms and conditions apply. Hostess will visit www.africa5.com for details.
They should have drawn this line. This guy still looks offside to me.
I'm traveling tomorrow morning. Please come and pick up my car for repairs. Huh? Okay, sir, no problem. Come, Elio.
I can testify that I have the most reliable mechanic in Lagos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
You don't have to worry. I can open it from here. It is Centurion automated gate. I can open it from anywhere with my phone.
And it's still your phone now, you cry.
Centurion automated gates.
Bobby's joke. Bobby's joke. I heard the phone. I heard all those is where you go use your phone. They do everything. Oh, Bobby was great
He was good. Eh?
as usual.
Yeah.
As usual, he didn't. No, he
Didn't
didn't disappoint.
disappoint.
As usual. So the guy was playing a video on his phone. You know how they'll mirror your TV will mirror your phone. Then text message came.
Hey! Bad market. We're getting back. Mics are up. Can you hear the sound of our voice? Can you feel the joy of being at work on a public holiday?
Oh, we love it. We
It's
think
so much
this should
fun.
happen all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Ayo. Oh, wow. We didn't want to take it that far. But anyway, let's take your messages. Lukman sent in this one from Ijabode. It says, good morning. Not a good performance from Spurs yesterday. I hope they can overturn it next week. Liverpool tonight against Barcelona. Liverpool all the way. We'll see where your support lies.
And then Chiwe Nancy says, hi, whether Pochettino got the tactics right or wrong, the truth is that they are out. I'm so happy for Ajax. I can categorically say they are in the finals already. It's over for Spurs.
Yeah.
These Ajax youthful side were so confident, played as if they were at home. Kudos to Ajax.
All right, so let's move on now to talk, share this message from Chimobi Victor from Alaba International. It says, what will it profit this English team, Tottenham Hotspurs, to knock out Man City at the quarterfinals and end up losing against this average team, Ajax, at the semi-final? This is absolutely ridiculous, he says.
And then Shay says, those Spurs will have some in the next match, but Ajax plays real motion football. Valentine, you remember the football we played as kids called set with monkey post? I had to use that monkey because that's what Ajax will use to dismantle Spurs. Tega, please just send me Sarri's number by mistake. I need to see him near Balinde Bridge. I don't tire, Kilo Day.
People are just talking, but you know Ajax are not very good at home. I think about it. They actually lost to Real Madrid before they went to beat them away.
Okay.
They drew to Juventus before they went to Turin to beat them.
So maybe all they need to do is...
They are not very they are very good travelers.
Yeah.
But I think there's a little pressure on them at home. Like they're playing in front of their home fans and stuff. So I'm not saying that it doesn't mean that they can win. They can. All they need is a draw at home for them to go through. So don't be too confident. Is my point.
All right.
Yeah.
This is a classic sentence. This one on WhatsApp says, kudos to Ajax for winning last night, while tonight is Barcelona's night. Okay.
Chesa from Okota says, Ajax might not perform at home. Why didn't Harry Kane play?
Injured now.
We'll talk about this, right? And then from Twitter, we have a few messages before we wrap it up. Nathan Njoku says, people saying Van Dijk hasn't been dribbled past in the league, but will be facing Messi, who will kill him tonight. Well, if Messi dribbles Van Dijk tonight, it will be nothing new and no shame attached. After all, it is Messi, the GOAT. And he
also says, now I know why Marcelo Bielsa is called El Loco. At the risk of missing EPL qualification, he allowed the opponent to score a free goal, and now Leeds will be going to the playoffs. I think John Terry should apologize to him. Imagine if Leeds lose the playoffs.
All right, Lagos, thank you very much for being part of the show. The Locker Room is that hashtag on Twitter at hashtag Locker Room 981. You can send in your messages and continue the conversation with Tega out there at Tega Supreme or at LIS International if you're very interested, like we are, about ladies in sports. Next, we have a special coming up at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock for Lagos Talks 981. Let's talk about our workers' rights and how much you know or should know about your rights as a worker.